All right, everybody, welcome back. We are here checking out a new game, Manor Lords. So I played this a little bit back when it was out on demo, but they ended up taking the demo. I think I had uninstalled it and then it was gone from Steam and I couldn't get it back. So I haven't played it too much, but now it's out in early access. Absolutely beautiful game. We're going to start a brand new game right now and I'll just kind of walk you through. I've been playing around on another save, which I actually just lost. But so I won't be able to show you any of that. But we're gonna start a brand new game, and so just know I've kind of played around with some of that stuff to learn everything, and check it out and get a feel for the kind of things that we want to do kind of at the beginning of the game. But really, this is just kind of a walkthrough of what's in the game and how you want to get started and things like that. So first, you've got your name up here, and you've got your portrait. I kind of like this guy, so we're gonna go with him, and we'll change our name here. You can also do a lot of playing around with your coat of arms. I don't want to mess with this too much right now. Um, so I'm just gonna. I kind of like having the beehive there. I kind of wish, just from a note for the developer, it would be really cool if we could. Actually, I kind of like that. Yeah, let's do that tree. Yeah, so one of the things I think would be cool is if we could wait a little bit before developing our coat of arms so that we could kind of see what our economic conditions are. So you'll see when we do the game later, a lot of it's around, a lot of the emphasis in the game is around trading and things like that, and you have certain resources depending on where you start out. And so it would be nice to be able to do your coat of arms based on kind of the things you actually end up having in your region. Um, like I like that picture that was up by default was like a honeybee skep. And so if we're going to do a lot of raising honey, that would be great on our coat of arms. But we're just going to use this tree actually. All right, so then when you get in here, there's some three different scenario templates. You've got kind of this most combative one. It looks to me like these are all about combat, right? So if we look at Rise to Prosperity, there's no bandit camps, there's no raiders, and there's no spawns for raiders. If we go up to Restoring the Peace, you get 2 years without raids, and then they start coming. And then on this one, you only get 1 year, and you get a little bit more. So this is a little more of the combat. For this video, I just want to do Rise to Prosperity. And I recommend as you start out, begin with this. So you don't have to deal with the combat unless that's really something that you want to do. If you're somebody that's played games like Total War, I don't think this is supposed to be a replacement for a game like that. But if you really want combat to be a big part of what you're doing in the game, I recommend go ahead and you can start on one of these. But just for getting a feel for the game, I'd rather do it on Rise to Prosperity, where we're just really trying to build up our town. Once I'm able to do that, I'll probably come back and do another playthrough where I do it on a little bit higher difficulty level. We're going to keep the difficulty as default. So really this is just about when you start and the amount of supplies you have and things like that. So default I've found that's fine. All right, so as we load this thing up, one thing to comment on is, man, this game is just absolutely beautiful. We'll zoom in down here. The graphics are great. You even get a chance to, I'm gonna pause it real quick. You can actually like go into the body of your guy, although this seems to be the model that they use no matter what you picked for your image at the beginning. But we'll be able to actually like walk around our settlement later as we build it. So that's pretty cool. Let me exit out of that so we can actually get this thing going. All right, so it's going to give us, basically we'll get some messages from time to time, maybe from some of the other lords in some of the other areas. But really this is just about, our victory condition is going to be growth. And so all we need to do is get up to the point where we're a large town. I'm going to pause it real quick and talk about a few things. So, well, we've got the tooltip up here. That's probably worth talking about. You need food and fuel. We'll talk about how to get both of those. But those are the big things, and you can always monitor those up here. And it will also tell you on this barrel how many months of each one you have. So far we haven't consumed any fuel, but as we do, it'll be able to estimate how much based on our stores, how much we have left. All right, so let's look at our region. So one cool thing about this game, as opposed to some other games that I've played, I really like how they just kind of plop you down and they don't force you to like look around and find a starting area. So I'm sure there's lots of people that enjoy that. But for me, sometimes it's like I spend way too much time at the beginning trying to figure out where I want to go. And so I'd rather just, I actually kind of like that it just plops me down and forces me to take that. So as we zoom out, we're going to talk about the regions. So this is the region that's under our control. These are the other regions on the map. And as I understand it, the map is the same every playthrough, but these resources that you get are kind of random, and whether or not, the specific places they're in within a region are different as well. And also whether or not they're rich or not, which is this little crown you'll see. So basically what that means is it's just a really good source of it, right? So right now you can see wild animals is a rich deposit for us, so we're going to be able to hunt early, which is good. We also have access to berries, iron, and clay. Those are normal deposits, so we'll use those to our benefit, but they will run out eventually. And then we've got stone up here, which is great to have a rich deposit of that. I think as we start to build bigger settlements, we're going to use that for some of the buildings and things like that. So it'll be nice to have access to that for a longer period. I think these things will eventually run out. The berries are going to keep replenishing, but these two I think will eventually run out. And so we'll have to trade for those things if we still need them when we've used everything that we have. All right, so let's talk about what we want to build first. And I'm keeping the game paused just because I want to go ahead and lay everything out where I want it first and not have a lot of stuff going on in the background. And then we can just kind of speed through everything. All right, so one of the first buildings that we want to build, if we go down to this menu or just hit the C button, we'll see some of the stuff in here. So this is where it's talking about we have different resource deposits. We also have different places for soil fertility, so we want to look at that too. And it says if you don't have a lot of fertility, you probably want to trade early so that you can get food. So if you look, when we go into this building menu, you can see there's multiple overlays that we can use over here. So first we want to look at underground water, because a well is one of the first things that we want to build, which is actually over in this residential section. Now you see that costs 1 timber to build. That's okay. I want to think about something real quick. Yeah, we can start to build housing up around here. That's fine. We also want to look at fertility for different crops. So if I go back and I click on emmer fertility, emmer is basically wheat. So we can see there's a good area over here, but it overlaps with our berry and our animal deposits, so we don't want to do it there. But over here, this is going to be where all of our farming is, right here, because that's wonderful. Fertility. You know, if the whole area was this dark green, that'd be even better, but that's pretty good. Let's see if we can do anything with flax. So flax we're going to use to make clothing. Doesn't look like we're able to grow that very well, so we'll probably trade for it. Barley is for making beer. We'll trade for that as well. Rye is basically, I found, it kind of overlaps with emmer. But you don't get rye, I think, until later in the game. There's some things you have to unlock. So emmer is really what we care about. So I'm going to concentrate building all of our houses over here. And so I'll use our homeless encampment here to basically mark kind of the line of where we want to build all of our housing. North of that, I guess that's north. I don't know how the map is laid out actually. But above that line, behind it, and then we want to build up to where we might want to start crops. But this gives us plenty of space to start out. So one of the first things that we want to do is have a logging camp. So you can see up here we have 8 additional timber. And that's going to be plenty. But we will go ahead and I want to build a well right. So I'm going to have some houses here. And this where these trees are is kind of where the center of the settlement is going to end up being, or maybe over in this clearing. So I want the well for now to be kind of close to the middle of that. So we're going to put it right there. All right, so that's it. Unassigned families work on construction, and timber requires oxen to be moved. So that's a couple of good points. We'll just talk about those really quick. So if we look up here, we've got our unassigned families and our assigned families. As we build some buildings in just a second, we'll start to see the effect of that. So once we have a building built, in Manor Lords, instead of assigning individual citizens, you're assigning a whole family to work that building, which is, I actually kind of like that better. So that's essentially what we want to look at. But what we want to pay attention to is making sure there's at least one, if not more, unassigned families, because those are the ones that are going to do new construction, and I think they help out in terms of like moving supplies around as well. But anytime you're going to want to do some new construction, you've got to have a free family to do it. So that might mean unassigning somebody from the job that they have. I'm sure that has some repercussions. In other games I've played like this, sometimes it means you're like taking a really experienced person and taking them off of one job, and then when you go to fill that job back in, you might end up putting that same person back. So it seems like it's a good idea to leave one unassigned. And so all the buildings we build are going to need a family. So we only want to build 4 buildings at the beginning. And we'll talk about housing in a minute. We obviously will want to build housing as well. But the buildings we want to build are going to be for storing things and for also getting the main resources that we need. So the main ones that we want to get first are the logging camp. So in order to get timber, we have to have a logging camp. And since we know this area over here is going to be where we want to put our fields, I'm going to just stick the logging camp right there. So what they're going to do is they're going to go to the area around them and get trees. And I want to get all this cleared out to use for farmland anyway, so we're going to go ahead and put them there. One of the reasons I build that first, and actually we can go ahead and start this thing up. One of the reasons I build that first, get them to go ahead and start working on it, is that you can't actually run out of timber up here. You see, like I've only got 5 left at this point. And so if we don't build this quickly, or at least early in the game, you can actually like plan to build a bunch of buildings and end up running out of timber because you didn't, basically you built a bunch of buildings before building the building you're going to need to replace the timber, and so you end up running out and you can't build anymore. So I did that my first kind of playthrough on this. So we're not going to make that mistake today. The other thing we want to build is start to build some storage. So all of our stuff, our supplies are right here, and they're just kind of laying on the ground. And eventually the weather is going to cause us problems there. And since we know this is kind of the center of where we're going to put a lot of our settlement stuff, we're going to start to build things around it. So first let's do, so I hit R to build a road. And this is just basically saying if we build roads, they can use hand carts and move more stuff at once, which is pretty cool. Summer's coming soon. But I'm just going to build this road, just kind of mark out where I want to put some other things. Boom. All right. So the next couple of buildings are basically storage buildings. Like I said, this stuff is setting out just in the weather, and we'll have some problems later if we don't go ahead and put that inside somewhere. So we're going to build a granary. And we're going to build a storehouse. And we're just going to put them right next to each other. Right here, we're kind of expecting the center of our town to be. So we've got that going on. So I said we only wanted to build 4 buildings, right? So we have the logging camp. we have the storehouse, and we have the granary. We're going to have to assign families to all of those. So the other thing that we need, so we've got logs, so we can continue to build, or we will have a place for logs at least. I think I made that highest priority. Yeah, okay. I thought I saw the oxen going that way. That's my mistake. But, so we do want to build that. And then we want to build these 2 other buildings. We have a place to store all of our stuff. We have a place to get new timber. We also need food, though. And so the next thing I want to build here is our hunting camp. And when I do that, you'll see it shows us the area that the animals are in. If we build inside of this area, it says it's going to cause migration. I haven't tested that to see what actually happens. But it seems like it's going to make the animals go away. I don't know if that means they'll just move further back, but we'll still have access to them, or if it's going to actually like really cause us problems. So we're not gonna play with that and maybe cause ourselves to have unnecessary issues. So we're just gonna put a hunting camp kind of on the outskirts of that area, but still kind of in line with the rest of our settlement. All right, so that's it. So we got a hunting camp, we've got a granary, we have a storehouse, and we have a logging camp. And we want those to go up first. And then we're going to build some housing as well. So we can go ahead and speed the game up a little bit. So you can see it lets you go all the way from 4 times or to 12 times. And that's definitely what we need to do right now.
Hey, where are the pets? Oh, there they are.
Alright, so the other thing that we're going to need, yeah, these things are exposed. Let me pause it real quick. So it's telling us this building has no assigned families. I think it's talking about the logging camp, although it looks like the hunting camp went up really quick too. So it's also saying by default livestock is shared. So basically we have 1 oxen that's helping to move things around. That is going to be shared by everybody whenever it's needed. It looks like you can at some point actually assign it to a specific workplace. And we may want to do that. It may make it more efficient later, but we don't need to do that right now. So we're going to go to our logging camp. We need to assign a family there so that they start to cut down logs, and we want to assign a family to the hunting cabin. So here it's showing that there's people working basically. Alright, so now that we're building this granary and this storehouse, we're going to start to build housing for people. And we're going to make these high priority so that when we put the housing up, it doesn't necessarily take priority away from what we're doing. Okay, we'll speed things up a little bit. Maybe 12 times is too much. We'll go back down to 4. Yeah. All right, so people need a place to live, right? And so we're going to start to build burgage plots right here, which is basically just housing. And that's under this residential tab. And I really like the way they do this. So basically you draw the borders of the plot and you kind of indicate how you want it lined up. And then it just builds the houses in that plot. It's really cool because you can do multiple houses at once that way. And you can also do some different shapes. So we'll start from that. I'll just go to there. If I go back here, yeah, so you can see right here,
This is heavier than it looks.
it's telling us we can place a plot point, we can go back. It tells us where we're connected to the road. And this is going to show us house locations and extension slots. And so this one doesn't have any. I'm going to go back and make this a little bit shorter. So that's the house, but if we go further back, it's got this little extension slot. And that allows you to put like workshops back there. So you can have people that build furniture. There's a couple different jobs. I don't remember them all off the top of my head. We'll go in and look at it once we get this plot built. But what I also want to do is I want to have one with a little bit of extra housing room. There we go. That's the size I want. Oh, that's 2 houses. So when you see this little, so the house that's got the plus right there, that actually, now we have basically 2 housing units on the same burgage plot, which is great. Let's see if we build it this size if we get one. Yeah, so that's what I wanted. We'll build a little further back to give us our workshop area. But the cool thing about that is it's a smaller house, but we'll have 2 houses on the same burgage plot. So as far as the cost, it's cheaper. And then as our burgage plots upgrade, it'll be cheaper to do that as well. But we can actually put 2 families in there. I think actually the build cost ends up being the same because you do have to spend lumber again when you add that secondary living space. But doing that allows us. Let me see. I'm just gonna play with this for a second. Yeah, that didn't give us me any of the little small houses. But definitely doing that allows us to do the upgrades later a lot more easily, which is gonna be cool. All right, so they're gonna start to chop down these trees. We're gonna extend this road out a little bit so that we have room for some more burgage plots. So essentially, like I said, we want to have people assigned. Oh, we need to assign to the granary and to the storehouse. There we go. All right, so now we only have one unassigned family. We've got people working everywhere else. That unassigned family is going to work on construction for us. We want to lay out more burgage plots so that we have room for new families.
Whoa, this is heavier than it looks.
There we go. So that's going to be 4 families. I think I need to extend the road out even further. There we go. So that's going to give us room for 6 families when these are all built, which is great. And that's more than we need. So we need room for 5 now.
Summer's coming soon.
Yeah, and now people are already requesting a marketplace. And that's going to be the next thing that we want to build. So it's in residential. There it is. I don't know why I was going around that. So basically this is where people are going to set up stalls to build things. Oh, we've got our first rain. Let's see. Did we get our supplies in? Yep, that's our hitching post. Yeah, we got most of our supplies in. Probably do want to move this hitching post
He spat it in my face and tried to carve me a new nipple.
over. Put it right next to our well. That should be fine. These tents will go away once we have enough housing for everybody. But we do want to also do a marketplace. So I'll show you that real quick. This is basically where people are going to come to sell things like firewood and things like that. So we're just going to do like a really small one. It'll show you. Well, I've got my tooltip in the way now. It looks like it's like 10 stalls, which is plenty for us to start out with. Boom. And so what that's going to do is that's going to supply all of the houses and things around it, which is really cool.
Watch
So
your head
there's
there.
2 stalls getting ready to be built. So probably, I don't know, what did it say?
If I have to spend
second.
another winter in Albrecht's barn, I'd like to freeze me balls off.
Happened to, all of our messages have gone away, but there were some people that were requesting marketplace stalls to sell their wares,
Where's my other mallet?
and so we've just helped them out with that. So we'll click on this road. It looks like, yeah, we want to be able to get this cart over there. There we go. That's going to connect our logging camp a little bit better with our town. So one cool thing. Oh, did we block the road with this thing?
Just give me a hammer and something needs to not move.
Yeah, it looks like I can't stop it from moving. Okay.
Can I stay where the street?
Let's see, once it's built, maybe we can build a road right there. Is it finished? If not, we're gonna have to move it because I need a road going this way too. Okay. Actually, let's do this. We're gonna move it behind the well, which should be fine. People can still walk past there. I don't know if we can. Yeah, so it's going to let us build the road now. So I want to build it out to about here. We don't want this place to be too grid-like, right? That's one of the cool things about this game is you can, like, the settlements end up being like pretty organic, and it doesn't do a lot that some other games do to incentivize like building everything really strictly to a grid. Like the marketplace, you know, you need to have things close to it, and there's a church later that I think, you know, it affects things depending on how close you are to it. And so there's some stuff like that you really want to be aware of where you're placing your housing and stuff like that. Because, you know, in a lot of other games you want to be aware of that because you want to put everything in kind of a circle around like a main cluster of buildings that are going to give it desirability, or they're going to help to disperse goods or whatever, right? There seems to be a little bit less of that in Manor Lords, and it allows you to kind of build more like organic looking settlements so that they're not all like really blocky and, you know, grid shaped settlements. And it just feels more natural. So we want to celebrate that. But just to give me the starting layout, we are going to make things kind of gritty. Alright, so we've got this big square to work with, and then we'll have some other stuff over here. Let's look back again. Got our Emmer fertility. Yeah, and I'm actually going to build, because the roads are free, so why not, right? Feel like that's right. Yeah, so that's going to kind of give me, like, this is the border that I want to use in terms of, like, I don't want to build stuff here. And the same thing for here. Since the roads are free, I just use them to mark stuff off. We want to be able to use all that land for fields. And so I'm going to build another road. Goes right along our camp. And then let me take a look at this again. Right there. Alright, so let me make sure. Yeah, so we want to build any other buildings I'm going to build along here with the logging camp. I'm going to build in this space and try not to take up valuable, fertile cropland for any of that. So that's just a way to kind of mark that off for myself. Let's check in on things. Got the marketplace going. Oh, we still have a couple homeless families. So that extra little living space over there, that's the button we want to use to make that happen. So we'll go ahead and do that for those 3 plots. And that's going to end the homelessness that we had. Okay, here we go. We got the log back up now. I don't know where it went. So the granary and the storehouse people want to market. The hunting camp wants a market stall. So yeah, that's cool. All right, so when we go in here, this is our marketplace. It's going to show us there's a firewood stall, it looks like, and yeah, firewood and a food stall. It's usually what you start out with at the beginning. And if we highlight over here, it's kind of showing who's benefiting from what's being sold there. So we're really only supplying those 2 houses. I think that has more to do with just the amount of food that we have than the ability of the marketplace to serve it.
Poor quality, he said.
So that'll sort itself out. All right, so in order for us to start getting more families, what's going to happen is we need to, one, have empty places for them to live, but then we also need to have a pretty high approval rating, which is this thing up here. So you'll see homelessness is the main thing. All right, so it's telling us about that now. And you can read that tooltip. But homelessness is the main thing for us right now. Food variety is going to be the next thing. And so in order to get up above 50%, we're going to have to do some things to make sure we have a decent amount of food. And I can see our oxen is kind of cutting across here. So let's put a road in. Now that we know that that's a place we're going to want to... It's kind of already the easiest path to travel. Let's put a road in. And again, I don't want this to get too grid-like. So I'm going to let it kind of do these organic shapes, but I do want to make sure I'm using all of my space. So there we go. Boom. Alright, now that ox is going to move a lot faster, I think. Alright, so we're going to work on getting our approval up. We are going to have enough. Yeah, so we have room for 6 families. We only have 5 families. So now it's a matter of just getting our approval level up. And that's going to allow us to get some folks. Expand our settlement, and also then be able to have enough people, right? By expanding our settlement, we'll have enough people to man some more buildings, so we can start to build other things. Like we can go take advantage of these berries that we have over here. We can start mines. The thing we want to do first, though, because winter is coming, so the hunting will kind of keep us in food as long as we need it to. One of the things that is worth pointing out here is we've got this hunting camp. There's 40 over there. And we can set a hunting limit. So basically you don't want to overhunt the area. The default is 10, but since that's a rich deposit, I'm going to actually set it to like 15. Because we want to keep a lot of animals over there. So essentially, like when the herd drops to that level, they'll stop hunting and give them more time to reproduce. If we run into problems with food availability, we may modify that, but for now we're going to leave it alone. Alright, so we've got good market food variety. Now what we want to do, we've got this extra space that we left in the back on these burgage plots. And let me show you that. I don't think I talked about it when we were building them. So when I lay this out, so we had the little house. Oh, that's the market stall. Come on, man. So I showed you like the little house on the side, the one that's going to show up right here. But then there's also the little shed in the back with the hammer in it. That allows us to build extensions on the burgage plot for people to have like jobs, basically. So the ones that we start out with are, we can do a vegetable garden. So that we're going to do that one on that one. And we're going to do a chicken coop. So that's going to provide more food as well. So that's nice. We did start the vegetable garden in June, so I'm not sure how much we're going to get out of it. But it's there. Now, you'll see when we go to do this when everything is grayed out. So the reason that is because it requires regional wealth, which you can see that number up there. It's 15 on this one, 25 on this one, 25 on goats, and 50 on apples. And so if we look up here, this is how much regional wealth we have. We started with 50. We'll be able to improve that by trading. But yeah, we started with 50 and now it's down to 10 because we spent 40 on these two things. So that's something you got to kind of keep an eye on, but building your burgage plots with the ability to have that back there is really nice, because then you can also do these artisan things. So we can have a bakery, we can have a tailor, armorer, cobbler, blacksmith, all these nice things that's going to help us out with some stuff. The thing about that you have to watch is it does convert the family in that plot to, like, this is their job now. So wherever you had them assigned before, you'll have to have a family to take that over. Alright, so we've got that going. Let's build another burgage plot. We're going to do it right here by our market. Try to build it about the same size as that other one, so we have that extra little house, but also the workspace area. Alright. So we've got that going. We have all the buildings that we need. We've gotten our approval up. We should get some new families moving in at some point soon. We have plenty of living space. I think, do we have the ability to... can put something in here. Oh, we don't have regional wealth. That's right.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, so we
good
just want to
sirs
make
and
sure we have enough
ladies.
room. We're going to have room for 6 families right now. When this comes in and we upgrade that side section, let's speed things up a little bit here. We'll upgrade that side section, and that's going to give us 2 more spaces for families in total. So we should start to see people move in. Now what we want to do is we want to have a woodcutter's lodge sometime soon before winter. Because we will need, if you look up here, we've got food for 13 months, but fuel for only 4 months. So it's June now, so that means in October we're going to be out of fuel, which is not ideal. So what we want to do is get that woodcutter built sometime between now and then. And remember, we want to keep an eye on, I'll probably build it over here, even though we've already got this logging camp going. That woodcutter is going to go out and help us to clear these fields of trees as well. So we'll probably end up building that right here. And in fact, yeah, let's go ahead and build it, but we're not going to assign a family to it yet. We can just put it right here. So that'll get built. We won't assign anybody to it until we have some extra families to do that with. And now it's just kind of waiting. There's not a lot of micromanaging to do. So we're just going to wait for that to happen. Once we have a new family come in that we can put in there, we'll do that. But for now, we're just going to let the game run a little bit. So you can see the unassigned family is also helping to move timber around. So we don't want to do anything to disrupt that. We're going to wait. Once we get a new family in, we're going to set up that woodcutter. And then depending on how quickly we grow, we can set up some other buildings as well. But yeah, we've got it. This is a nice, good start to a town. We have we have timber coming in. We have food coming in. We have a place to distribute it. We have water. We have a place to store all of our stuff. And we have a place for everybody to live. So that's a good first episode for this town. We've got everything kind of started the way that we want. And so we'll be able to, oh, look at that. We just got that new family moving in. They are going to be woodcutters. And now we have 1 extra living space. I think we have to do this to actually get that though. Yeah, there we go. All right, let me slow things down real quick. All right, so we've got the basic things that we need. We're going to be ready with firewood for winter. Soon we should have some other families moving in because we have looks like we have 2 spots available. Once they move in, we'll go back into this construction menu and talk about some of the other things that we could build. But for now, I'm going to call it a day. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, if you liked the video and you got something out of it, please give me a like. It'll help the channel out. If you want to see what happens with the town in the future, how we continue to build and grow, please click that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. When we come back next time, I'll run the game for a little bit and wait for some families to move in. Or maybe we'll take the time. Yeah, I think we'll just take the time to kind of go over some of the other buildings that we might want to use once those families get moved in. Probably build a couple more burgage plots just to make sure that we have plenty extra. I think the trading post might be the next thing that we want to do because we need to start working on regional wealth and get that up as well, and be able to trade for some of the things that we don't have locally. But for today, we'll talk all about all that stuff in the next episode. For today, that's going to be it. I appreciate you guys being with me, and I will see you next time.